Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I'm Assistant Chief Judith Harrison, Commanding Officer of Patrol Bureau Brooklyn North. With me today is Deputy Chief Michael Kemper. He is a Commanding Officer of Brooklyn North's Detective Bureau. And I also have Deputy Inspector Timothy Scretch, who's a Commanding Officer of the 7-9 Precinct. I just want to remind you before I start to get into anything that everything is preliminary at this time. There's an active investigation, and the information that I'm about to provide you is subject to change. So last night at approximately 11:17 p.m., police officers from the 7-9 precinct responded to numerous 911 calls for shots fired and people shot at the address of 15 Albany Avenue. Upon arrival, officers determined that there were 6 people that were shot, ranging in ages from 14 years old to 20 years old. The 20-year-old person is a female whose identity I will not provide pending family notification, but she was pronounced deceased at Woodhull Hospital. Preliminary investigation determined that there was a house party at the location when an unknown perpetrator entered the location and began to shoot in the lobby as he ascended the stairs. There are no arrests, and again, the investigation is very active and ongoing. We encourage anyone with any information to notify our Crime Stoppers hotline at 1-800-577-TIPS, 1-800-577-TIPS. And now I'd like to turn it over to Deputy Chief Mike Kemper. But before I do, I just want to stress the importance of how important it will be for us to get some community involvement. Anyone who has any information, anyone who knows anything, please, we need the community's help with this one. Thank you. And I'll turn it over to Chief Kemper.
Thank you, Chief Harrison. So, like Chief Harrison mentioned, I'll just go through some facts and where we stand right now. So there are a total of 7 people shot at this location, 4 males and 3 females. 1 person is deceased, that being a 20-year-old female. The 6 others are expected to survive. The ages of our victims range from 14 to 20 years old. Our 7 victims were removed to 4 different local hospitals, 3 being Kings County Hospital, 2 to Maimonides Hospital, 1 to Woodhull Hospital, and 1 to Brookdale Hospital. What our investigation at this time tells us? Well, here's what it tells us. Earlier in the evening, there was a Sweet 16 celebration party in East New York, Brooklyn, on Liberty Avenue. This Sweet 16 party attracted a large crowd, and 911 was called to the location at about 7:53 p.m. The police responded to that location and dispersed the crowd. Shortly after 9 p.m., a 17-year-old male was shot 1 time to his leg while standing on Liberty Avenue and Crystal Street, which was in very close proximity to where the Sweet 16 party was being held, approximately a block to a block and a half away. We believe this male was present at the Sweet 16 party. It's unknown what the motive was and what the reason was why he was shot and or who shot him. But after the party was dispersed, it was relocated to this location right down the street, which is in Bedford-Stuyvesant. Shortly after 11 p.m., multiple calls to 911 were made reporting shots being fired and people being shot at this location. The police responded and this is when they discovered our 7 gunshot victims. Right now, the crime scene is very active and detectives are in the process of determining what exactly transpired that led to this horrific incident. This includes determining the motive, which at this point and at this time right now, the motive to this shooting is unknown. But what I can tell you is that we believe there is definitely more than 1 shooter in this incident, and no less than 2 guns were used during this incident. And I can tell you this, and that's based off of witness statements and ballistic evidence that was already discovered on scene. The scene is being processed by our crime scene unit, and I'm pretty confident that as the days and hours progress, more evidence will be collected. Like Chief Harrison mentioned and urged, I too urge anyone with any information in relation to this incident or the incident that occurred in the 75th Precinct in East New York, Brooklyn, a couple of hours prior, to call our Crime Stoppers hotline. That's 1-800-577-TIPS. That's 1-800-577-TIPS. I want to let everyone know that all calls are confidential. All tips will be investigated, and we really look forward to getting some phone calls and some help on this. Thank you. If anyone has any questions.
Can you go through the part when the shooters enter the building and how they made their way up the stairs, where exactly the shootings took place? Were they inside, outside the apartment?
So right now, the evidence that we have and where we stand right now is that we have ballistic evidence outside by the front door of this building. We're in the lobby and going up to the third floor. So we believe that there were shots fired from outside the building all the way up to the third floor.
Any shots going into apartments?
Well, we're not going to discuss as far as where our victims were at the time, and that's something which we're still trying to determine right now. You know, as you can see, it's a very active scene, and crime scene is processing that right now.
But no one who was not involved with the party, did they have any bullets go through their walls or doors?
We're determining that right now.
So that Sweet 16 party. Can you talk any more about the victim from there? How was he related to this? Did he have? Was he badly enough injured to? Was he involved at all in this?
So the Sweet 16 party was for a female.
Right.
The party was held at a party hall on Liberty Avenue in East New York, Brooklyn. The party was dispersed. That party was relocated to this location. The individual that was shot, the 17-year-old that was shot in close proximity, we believe attended that party. As far as the motive and who shot him there, that's unknown and to be determined. As far as the connectivity between the two, it's connected based upon, it's the same party, it's the same individuals attending the party.
And what hospital was he taken to?
I don't have that information. Does anyone have that information where he went? I would probably say, I'd venture to say Brookdale or Jamaica. I'll let you know in 1 minute.
So was this a retaliatory?
And just so you know, his shooting, he's expected to survive.
So was this a retaliatory shooting here?
It very well could, and that's something we're exploring. It could be a retaliatory shooting, or it could be a continuation.
And what's the gang element here? I know that the uptick in shootings has been stemmed from gang violence here in Bed-Stuy. Do you believe that has anything to do with this?
As far as motive, the gang connectivity to this shooting right here, that's something to be determined. It's something we're always thinking about. There's, you know, when you talk about violence in Detective Borough or Patrol Borough Brooklyn North, the gang nexus or the gang motive is involved in a nice number or a large percentage of our shootings. So we're aware of it, and this shooting's only a couple of hours old, and we're in the early stages.
Chief, how troubling is it for you? I think the latest stats, something like shooting incidents up 95%. I know the stats are coming up, new stats coming out today, but how troubling is that for you, especially in the midst of a time whenever people are mostly hunkered down?
Listen, any shooting is troubling and disturbing. This incident, we have a 20-year-old, a female who is deceased. It's horrible. It's terrible. I don't know if you want to.
Just to echo what Chief Kemper said, it's absolutely horrible. We're very concerned about the uptick in violence that we see, and we're very concerned about getting that under control. Just one shooting is one shooting too many. We're certainly seeing a tremendous uptick that has us very concerned, and certainly tonight we're saddened, and our hearts are most certainly with the family of the 20-year-old victim who's now deceased for something senseless.
Thank you, boss.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.